Nana Agradaa sentenced to 15 years. COFIIG-Ghana reacts to religious fraud ruling. Nana Agradaa sentenced to 15 years in prison. Full story and impact. Bukom Banku pleads with Mahama to free Nana Agradaa. 15 years too harsh? Nana Agrada's husband reacts to 15-year jail sentence. Church future unchanged. Nana Agradaa sentenced to 15 years. COFIIG-Ghana reacts to religious fraud ruling. The Coalition for Integrity in Governance, Ghana, COFIIG-Ghana, has expressed a mix of approval and concern regarding the recent sentencing of Evangelist Patricia Asiedua, widely known as Nana Agradaa. This ruling is seen as a significant step forward in Ghana's ongoing battle against fraud and the exploitation of religious beliefs. However, there are apprehensions about certain elements of the sentencing, highlighting the need for a more equitable approach to justice. On Wednesday, an Accra Circuit Court sentenced the former fetish priestess, who has transitioned into an evangelist, to 15 years in prison after she was found guilty on 6 counts of defrauding individuals through false pretenses. The charges stemmed from her deceptive practices, where she misled her followers into believing that their financial contributions would be spiritually multiplied, a promise that ultimately proved to be a scam. COFIIG-Ghana has consistently advocated for the rule of law, transparency, and the safeguarding of vulnerable populations, especially the youth, who are often the primary victims of such fraudulent schemes. The conviction of a prominent figure like Nana Agradaa sends a powerful and timely message to others involved in similar deceitful practices, particularly within religious communities that exploit the faith and desperation of individuals. Nevertheless, there is concern regarding the severity of the 15-year sentence, especially since this is her first conviction and she is a well-known public figure with the potential for rehabilitation. We encourage her legal representatives to seek a reduction in her sentence, not as a means to undermine justice, but to strike a balance between punishment and the opportunity for reform and restitution. Moreover, while the sentencing is a positive development, COFIIG-Ghana firmly believes that restitution for the victims should be a fundamental aspect of such legal decisions. Justice should not only serve to penalize the offender, but also aim to mend the damage inflicted on the victims. In this instance, numerous victims have suffered significant financial losses and rightfully deserve compensation. We advocate for the adoption of sentencing frameworks that incorporate the return of misappropriated funds or assets, even if it necessitates a reduction in prison time to facilitate practical repayment or recovery efforts. Our justice system must embody both punitive and restorative principles. It is insufficient for offenders to merely serve time. They must also be held accountable for returning what they have unlawfully taken, particularly when the victims are identifiable and have endured considerable losses. In summary, COFIIG-Ghana calls for ongoing reforms within our criminal justice system to ensure that victims of fraud are not overlooked in the quest for punishment. The ruling against Agradaa marks a significant beginning, but we must continue to pursue a form of justice that both deters future offenses and restores what has been lost. Signed,
Hun. Simon Jov Avatsi.
Executive Director, Coalition for Integrity in Governance, Ghana, COFIIG-Ghana.
Telefon 055 858 9873.
Email protected. https://www.modernghana.com/cdn-cgi/l/email-protection. Location: Accra, Ghana. Nana Agradaa sentenced to 15 years in prison. Full story and impact. In a shocking turn of events, a prominent religious leader has faced severe legal consequences after being sentenced to 15 years in prison with hard labor. Evangelist Patricia Asiedua, widely known as Nana Agradaa and founder of the Heaven Way Church, was convicted by an Accra Circuit Court presided over by Justice Evelyn Amoah. The charges: charlatanic advertisement and defrauding the public through false pretenses. But here's where it gets controversial. The court mandated a pregnancy test before delivering the sentence, a decision that has sparked debates about legal procedures and gender bias in judicial processes. The trial stemmed from a viral 2022 video in which Agradaa promised attendees of an all-night church service in Waja that their money would be doubled. This pledge, however, quickly unraveled into accusations of fraud. On October 9, 2022, Agradaa was arrested following widespread public complaints. At the time, the Ghana Police Service stated, Patricia Asiedua, alias Nana Agradaa, has been arrested over allegations of a money-doubling scam. She is cooperating with ongoing investigations. The arrest followed a church service on October 7, 2022, where Agradaa allegedly encouraged congregants to contribute funds with the assurance of financial returns. Many victims later claimed they were handed empty promises and dismissed without any compensation. Their stories, shared widely on social media, fueled public outrage and prompted authorities to urge affected individuals to report to the Accra Regional Police Command for further investigation. And this is the part most people miss. The court's decision to delay sentencing for a pregnancy test raised questions about the intersection of personal circumstances and legal accountability. While the court aimed to ensure fairness, critics argue it may have inadvertently shifted focus from the core issue: fraudulent practices that exploited vulnerable followers. Do you think the legal system should prioritize such personal circumstances during sentencing? Or should the focus remain solely on the crime committed? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Related articles: Check Fraud Exposed, How It Works and How to Stay Safe Ghana Web Special. The Gold Market That Fuels Galamsey. Bukom Banku pleads with Mahama to free Nana Agradaa. 15 years too harsh? Imagine a scenario where a beloved figure in Ghanaian society pleads for mercy on behalf of someone whose actions have caused significant harm. This is exactly what retired boxer Brahma Kamoko, widely known as Bukom Banku, has done. He has reached out to President John Dramani Mahama, urging him to show compassion and potentially pardon Patricia Asiedua Asamoah, better known as Nana Agradaa, who was recently sentenced to 15 years in prison. Nana Agradaa, a former traditional priestess who has since become an evangelist, faced severe consequences when she was found guilty of defrauding her followers. On July 3, 2025, the Circuit Court in Accra handed down a 15-year prison sentence. While acknowledging the gravity of her crimes, Bukom Banku contends that the punishment is excessively harsh and advocates for presidential intervention. In a heartfelt appeal, Bukom Banku expressed his deep concern. John Mahama, if Agradaa has indeed committed wrongs, I implore you to consider forgiving her. 15 years in prison is a fate too cruel for me to accept. This statement encapsulates the emotional weight of the situation and the personal investment Banku has in seeking a more lenient outcome. However, Banku does not shy away from addressing Agrada's repeated offenses. He points out that she has consistently engaged in criminal activities and has taken pride in showcasing her misdeeds rather than reforming her behavior. Agradaa, despite being a beautiful woman, you persist in stealing from others and using intimidating tactics. Your social media presence is filled with boasts about your wickedness and danger, he stated, highlighting the stark contrast between her public image and her actions. The court's decision has sparked a range of reactions from the public. Many have commended the verdict as a strong stance against fraud and a deterrent to potential perpetrators. Yet, Bukom Banku argues that such widespread satisfaction is misplaced, especially considering the potential risk to Agrada's life behind bars. If Agradaa were your own parent, you'd feel the same pain. As the father of the nation, Mahama, I beg you to reconsider her case. She could very well die in there, he emphasized, appealing directly to the president's sense of duty and compassion. This case raises important questions about justice, mercy, and rehabilitation. Should punishment always be severe, or is there room for forgiveness and redemption? How do we balance the need for justice with the possibility of reform? These are critical considerations that make this story both compelling and controversial. What do you think? Should President Mahama consider pardoning Nana Agradaa? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Nana Agrada's husband reacts to 15-year jail sentence. Church future unchanged. The core issue that has everyone talking is the resilience of the church community in the face of controversy and legal challenges. Despite Nana Agrada's 15-year prison sentence, her husband, Pastor Eric Oduro Asamoah, has publicly stated that the church will continue to operate as usual. But here's where it gets controversial. Many wonder whether the church's future can truly remain unaffected by such a high-profile conviction. Pastor Asamoah, who is married to the well-known evangelist Patricia Asiedua, better known as Nana Agradaa, has finally broken his silence following her sentencing to serve a lengthy term of 15 years with hard labor. Nana Agradaa, who founded the Heaven Way Champion Ministries and previously served as a traditional priestess, was found guilty by the Accra Circuit Court on charges of false advertising and defrauding her followers through deception. The case centered around a televised church service during which she claimed she could double the money of her congregation members. Many attendees later reported losing their money after participating in the event. In his statement after the court's decision, Pastor Asamoah clarified that the allegations of fraud were primarily related to the collection of offerings during an all-night prayer service held 3 years ago. He argued that the complaints from church members following that event were what ultimately led to his wife's conviction. Despite the serious legal repercussions, Pastor Asamoah remains optimistic about the future of their church. He confidently declared, "It's normal. The church will continue," emphasizing his belief that their spiritual community will persevere regardless of the legal setbacks. This development has ignited a wave of mixed reactions among the public. Some individuals are questioning the integrity and operations of the church, while others continue to stand in support of Nana Agradaa, believing in her innocence or the importance of faith beyond legal issues. Related, Nana Agradaa sentenced to 15 years with hard labor for money doubling scam. https://www.gbcghanaonline.com/general/nana-agradaa-jail-15-years/2025. More stories can be found here. https://www.gbcghanaonline.com/category/general. What do you think about the church's resilience in the face of such a conviction? Is it possible for a spiritual community to thrive despite scandals and legal troubles? Or does this incident reveal deeper issues within the church system? Share your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Your perspective could spark an important conversation.